architectural team together. The people who are going to take our idea, our program, and put it on a piece of paper and try to make it work. And we like to handpick each firm. We like to pick the design architect. We like to pick the plumbing engineer that we're going to use. We like to pick the civil engineer we're going to use. And so we go out and we get an RFP. And then we want to get them all together under one contract with the architect of record. The architect of record is a single point of contact that we have, and it's a single contract we have with the design team. But we like to pay each of them directly. We're the ones who, we want that structural engineer to sit there and tell us that design engineer is doing this design architect is doing this funny corner on the end of the building, and the cost of framing that corner is $200 a floor. Now, do I think the value of that corner that the architect's saying is important to design worth $200 more than if I squared up that corner? You know, those are the kind of things I want to hear. I want that give and take between the architect, structural engineer, and gee, how do I air condition? How do I make sure the temperature is right in that corner? You know, what does it do to my mechanical systems? I want that mechanical engineer to sit down and say, fine, you want to do that, but here's the kind of grill you're going to put in, and it costs $50 more. You know, I want them to sit there and and I don't want them to be holding to one architect who's going to say, shut up, don't talk to the owner, we're going to do it this way. So you want that creative juice, and the best way to do it is to make sure that they feel you're going to pay them directly and they don't have to go to the architect who's going to sit on their money for 90 days for payment. So that's step one. You put your architect, I want the, you know, I don't know who, Philip Johnson used to be the greatest architect, but he was the wrong architect for the city of Boston. Robert Stern was a better architect. And making that judgment is part of what we did as a developer. The next thing that we do is go benchmark. What do we know about baseball stadiums? We're an office building designer. Well, the way we go learn is we go look at other baseball parks. One of the most fun assignment I had was we were going to build some condominiums in ski village at the base of Aspen Highland. And so I got to go around to see a lot of different ski resorts. Sit down and say, okay, what do they do? How have they done it? What kind of air conditioning system do they put in? We call this benchmark. What is our competition doing? And we will take everything you can see, think of, or whatever, and we will look at it against our competition and what they're doing. What kind of, they all have balconies. What do they do it with wood? What does ice and snow have to do with the wood balcony versus a concrete balcony, or is it some kind of fabricated material? So those kind of, we want to know what our competition is doing. And then we would like to try to figure out how can we do it better. What's going to distinguish? Hey, I can go to a David Weekly home, or I can go to a Highland Homes. Which home, what do they do? Each one of them are slightly different. How are they trying to attract their customer? What are they building a different type home on? Is it, they're putting in granite laboratories and no one else is? And so therefore they use that as a marketing tool? Those are kind of the things that have judgments that have to be made and thought out. And we want the design team a part of it. We want the we want the leasing guy a part of it. Once we have done that benchmarking, we start looking at the fundamental system analysis. And what we do is, just in our conversation, right here, we've talked the fundamental systems. How do you frame a balcony and build a balcony in a ski resort where you got tremendous amount of snow and ice and freeze thaw? Okay, what is the different ways you can do it? What is the life cycle of it? What's the operating cost of each one? So we sit down and test every specific system that be the air conditioning system for a office building. Are we going to use below floor air conditioning, or are we going to come above floor? Above the ceiling. Where are we going to put it? And we sit down and we start testing it. We look at the first cost. What is it going to cost me? What does it cost David Weekly to put in a granite laboratory top versus a sandstone versus a plastic laminate? Okay, what is the operating life cycle? What's the longevity? What's the people comfort? You sit down and look at and you test it against different criteria to decide what you're going to do. And then you start giving direction, and you sit there and you look at your competition, you look at what your costs are, you look at how you're going to create a product that's different, that may be able to be sold for a little higher price, or, we found out that women like double sinks in their kitchen versus a big single country kitchen sink. Do they? How do you know? If I can sell a house and give the lady who is really the decision maker on the house you're going to live in, and I find out that that's what she likes, and all my competition has double sinks, and she likes the country kitchens, and that's where the majority of women are going right now, then I would be foolish to put in my house a double sink. And so, yeah, there's housing, there's need for housing, but how do I get my product out on the market? How can I get a higher price or sell my house sooner? That's part of the process that we look for. And then this is not, part of what this does is I look at each system, I eliminate some of the need for value engineering because I've already done it. I kind of know what my costs are going to be. I don't just say, architect, go build me a building, and draw me up a set of building, and then I'll go to the contractor and find out I'm over, $50,000 over budget. Because I'm looking at each system, and I am pricing each system as I go along and putting it together. I know that a double sink costs $100 and a country sink costs $110. So I'm not surprised that my appliance package or my plumbing is is $10 higher than what my budget was, but I decided that's what I was going to do because I could save money on the amount of time I would have to pay my banker because I'm going to sell this house faster. So it's constantly massaging that budget. We have our own in-house person who is an estimator, but we are talking to the general contractors and subcontractors daily. We're out there testing. When they came to us and said, this corner is going to cost $200 more that this architect wants, wait, that's what the structural engineer said. When's the last time he had to build a project, build it? I better go talk to a contractor and ask him what he thinks the cost is. And I'll take my engineer and say, this is what my engineer's little drawing of this corner is. What do you think this is going to cost? And I'll get a contractor who will tell me, I can frame that out of concrete after I pour it, and I can save the steel that you were going to use to do this corner, and it would cost you only $100. So it's this kind of give and take in the design process with the contractor, the design team, and the developer that goes on in the HINES process. We manage the design, we test each detail. We're looking for conflicts and errors. I mean, it's amazing. BIM helps, but BIM doesn't solve it all. There is still, in the design process, you've got to look at drawings and plans, mark them up. We need peer reviews. We will go and say to another mechanical engineer, look at this. Is there any mistakes? Do you see something here? And we like to keep our change orders under 3% of the total project, of the construction cost. In fact, if you look at the last 10 years, our number is about 1.5%. So if I sit down and I sit there and look at it, I was carrying a contingency in my project budget of 3. Well, if you think you're half my project, half of 3 is 1.5, and that basically covers in our record the change order. Now, what's typical in the industry? Well, if you're TxDOT, it's probably a lot different than that. If you're a home builder, and you're doing one home after another, how many change orders you're going to have? You've got to keep record of that and know where you are so that you can estimate the next job. Now, we have a set of drawings, and we want to select a general contractor. The general contractor is the fellow who's going to put all the subcontractors and the material supply men together to deliver this house or this office. And we ask 3 or 4 pre-qualified contractors to work with us. We want to make it, what's the odds if you're bidding a job and you're one of 10 people, or if you're one of 3 people? What's the difference? What's the odds of 1 in 10? 1 in 10, okay? What's the odds of 1 in 3? You're one of the 3 contractors. Which one would you prefer to work on? You're going to work on the one that you have a greater odds of getting. And so therefore, we like to pre-qualify. We only want to work with certain contractors that have done this in the past or know what they're doing. We want to understand what their schedule is. We're going to want that general contractor to lay out how he's going to approach this job from a site planning standpoint. And then we want to see, am I getting his best superintendent and project manager? Or am I getting, someone from UT? You got to sit down and think of, you want to see the staffing, you want to see the schedule, you want to see the site logistics. And then, yes, he may give you something other than general conditions and fee and qualification. He may be one who does his own concrete work. And so you'll get a structural price from him. So what we're doing here, and we'll sit down with a detailed list. It's about 10 pages legal size of questions that we want. Are you providing the drinking water? Who's providing the drinking water for the workers on the job? Are you looking for each one of your subcontractors to provide their own drinking water? Or are you going to provide it? Who's doing the temporary electricity? Oh, the electrician is. Well, that's great. Is he paying the electrical bill too? Whose cost is that? And so we want to go through that process with the GC. And one GC says, I'm paying the electric bill. The other one says, no, I'm going to prorate it to the subs. I'm going to have to take the general contractor who said he was going to prorate it and add that to the cost of my subcontractors, where the guy who said he had it in his bid or his general conditions, I don't have to worry about adjusting the subcontractor's prices. So that's, and so I'm going to sit there and compare the GC's bids to try to understand what I'm buying and what I haven't bought when I select them. Now, once I've selected them, or even before I've selected them, I've gone to the 3 general contractors and said, hey, you know what I need you to do? I need to give you to give me a list of the 3 electricians you'll work with, that you like doing business with. And so I'll do that with all the major subs. And while the GC's busy pricing his work, I'm over here pricing the work of the electrician with the electrical subcontractors. Now, again, they sit down, and hopefully by the time I start getting the subcontractor's bid, I have selected my GC. So my general contractor and us, HINES, are sitting down talking to 3 different electrical subcontractors. And again, we have a checklist. We want to make sure that we're not paying for something twice. If the general contractor has got the electrical consumption, the power already in the price, we don't want the electrician to be charging me that too. Now, the other is case too. If we don't want to pay both places, but we want to make sure that we're definitely got it covered. Because there's no such thing as a free lunch. I'm not trying to trick anybody. What we're trying to do is make clarity and make sure that all costs are covered. We want that electrician to sit there and say, you know what, despite your BIM drawings, you got my bus duct rising up through the middle of this chill water pipe. It doesn't show up on BIM, but you know, based on our knowledge of the size of the bus duct and what we can buy in our bid and what you getting ready to buy, it's a 12 inches long as opposed to 10 inches long, and so it's going to hit that. So we want to understand where the mistakes are before we start. And if you have an idea that you can come back and say, I can do this bus duct, and I'd rather not use bus duct, I can buy copper wire cheaper than bus duct, fine. And you tell me you can save me $50,000? I said, that's great. That's your idea. When I sit down and compare your number with the other 3 electricians, I'm going to take that $50,000 off your price. I'm going to treat you above board with that, then I will sit there and pick the subcontractors. We want the right to pick the subcontractors, not the general. Now, the general's already told me he would work with these 3, but of the 3, I get to choose which one I want to be on the team. Now, just like with the architect of record, I want one contract. I want a contract with the general contractor. And so we have a contract that, in the end, where there's one point of responsibility. If there's a problem with the electrical, it's the general contractor's problem. Because he has the contract with that. He was there when I bought it out. He was all a part of it. I just want one general contractor. So, who and what is a developer? As you can see, as we've talked about, it's really not one single person, or even one single profession. It is a team effort. It's everybody involved. It's all the different disciplines that come, and it's a process of creating value and meeting a need. It has value because it creates and meets a need. So, what the heck are you doing here at Texas A&M? Let me tell you what I think I was here for. What I learned. you're learning a process of the construction industry. You're learning how that house got built, or that office building got built. You're starting to see, you know, how it kind of works and how it interrelates. How does that electrician interrelate with the structural guy? How does it relate to the architect and to the banker? So you're starting to get, hopefully that's something that this capstone course that you're taking pulls together. Next thing, you're learning a vocabulary. We have a slang language. And you know, why don't you walk on a cement sidewalk on a windy day? It will blow away. Good, somebody's taking Dr. Bob Segner's course. Because cement is a powder. Concrete is what we really walk on. So you're learning, you're not going to fall for that mistake when that aged old superintendent, you show up on the job and say, well, let's get this cement sidewalk done. And he's going to look at you like, boy, you're green. Where'd you go to school? You're learning the vocabulary. The next thing, why are you taking structures? Don't want to ever take structures. You're learning to think. That's what the professors are trying to get you. It's not just, we don't rote behavior. We want you to think. We want to tell you this issue, and want you to think how to solve a problem. You have a degree from Texas A&M, I assume that you can think and solve problems. Do I expect you to have all the answers? Do I expect you to be right? Do I expect you to know? But I expect you to know how to think. And then hopefully, during this process, you're spending some time looking at this whole development process, builder process, and deciding what part do you like the best? Where do you think your talents are? Where do you think you will shine the best? I mean, putting me with a bunch of electrical engineers, I'd be the dullest bulb in the room. That's not where God gave me that talent. I'm still looking for where He gave me talent. But anyway, hopefully you know where you want to go and can go into and find where you want to spend your efforts. Another thing hopefully you're understanding is, why did I have to take management courses? I can pay you on the amount of profit you can generate for me. And that's all I can pay you. And I got to make a little bit off of you to justify, the overhead, carrying. Now, if you can grow with experience and knowledge on your job, where you can manage, motivate, and lead others, you can increase your value because you're more valuable to me, because you can work with other people. If all you can do is sit there and do your task and you can't work and communicate with others, then, that's fine. That's the way God wired you, that's okay. But you're going to be limited in what someone can pay you. And you can only pay you what you generate and the value you create. And then hopefully one of the things that you're beginning to understand, the professor gives you a team project. You got 3 guys on your team. 2 of them say they're going to show up, they don't. Next time, next class, the professor says, let's put a team project, you don't want to be with those 2 guys. Your reputation here at A&M, everybody else knows whether you're a person who does what you say you're going to do, whether you're going to give it your best, or whether you're going to slough it off. You think your classmates don't know? Well, wait till you get into the work environment. Your boss is going to know. The subcontractors are going to know. The bankers are going to know. Your reputation is known. The only person you're deceiving who you don't think know is yourself. Hey, if you can't come to work Monday morning without having a hangover, I really don't have a place for you. If I have to worry about you hitting up on all the secretaries, you don't have a place in my organization. If you can't get along with your children at home and it's affecting your hours here, you think I don't know that? You know, there's a certain way, our reputation and our integrity, that's what you will be known for. That's how you get your next job. Whether it is a bid, and you're representing the firm, or whether it is you trying to get a job. There's some principles that your mother taught you, hopefully, and they were not for anything but to increase and then fortify your reputation and integrity. A&M is known for it. There's some schools I just, you know, guys, you can't tell whether they've been taught right from wrong. We expect that out of this school. And those who have graduated before you expect it out of you. Questions? Comments? Rebuttals? Yes, sir.
Can you explain the thought process on picking the subcontractors but making the general contractor responsible for their work?
Yes, sir. Over at UT, they have a law school. And there's a bunch of lawyers who would like to be able to go in and divide up obligations and create lawsuits. And so we want to sit down and say there's one contract, he is the general contractor, he's responsible. And so we want to be able to go to a general contractor who is bondable, who has integrity and reputation and has the money to solve mistakes. And so that's why we want to contract with just the general contractor. The banking industry pretty much won't let a general contractor sit on the subcontractor's money once we've given it to the general contractor. Because I got it before I pay the general contractor, next time I'm going to get lien releases. Now that same practice doesn't necessarily exist with the architects and the engineers. So I don't have to pay the subs directly. The subs, the reason I like to sit down and work with the subs directly is I don't want to hear it. They have a gripe against this general contractor because he said he was going to provide drinking water and he didn't. You know, if that electrician is beholden to me because I'm the one who helped select him, he's going to let me know. He's also the one who is giving me that cost saving this idea, and I'm sitting there listening to it.